Hello, hi, welcome. My name's Ren, and sometimes I draw stuff. Not today, though. As you can see from the title of this video, today we're doing another sketchbook tour. This time we're back to a watercolor sketchbook. This one, I like quite a bit. Um, it's one of the Etchr sketchbooks. It even has the little Etchr llama, if you can see it. Yeah, it's 100% cotton and it is hot pressed. So let's get into it. Yeah, so as always, I like to start off my sketchbooks with a good swatching of my current palette. This one, ironically, changed over the use of this sketchbook, so I replaced this orange with this one. Yeah, also, as you can see, the dates. I started this quite a while ago in 2021, in fact, although I didn't use it for the first year and a half. I didn't use it a lot. Most of the art in it is from 2022 and early 2023. Yeah. So, yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of art is not from the beginning. This one is from January 2022, which was also the time when I replaced the orange on my watercolor palette. This is a painting to get a feel for the new paint, which is why it is so very orange. Yeah, this, on the other hand, is quite an old one. This is from June 2021, but yeah, I swatched my paints in May and then I only got around to doing the first painting in June. So you can see this one didn't see quite as much diligent use. I think this one is a redraw of an old Inktober piece, which is also why it's very desaturated. I ended up not liking this much, but it's always fun to see how your art has developed, even if, the redrawing doesn't end up the way you want it to. Then this one I quite like, even though I think I remember that it really was more of a quick little painting, quick doodle. I didn't put a lot of effort into this one, but it's of one of my favorite characters, one of my original characters, Velia. She is my comfort zone, so drawing and painting her is always kind of easy and relaxing for me. And also, there is some shiny roses on there, if you can see that. I own quite a lot of shiny inks or, shiny paints, which I really ought to be using more, because I do like how they look in the end as well. This one, I think, was another redraw of an older piece. I think the old one is very old. The old one, I think I did with the Koretake Gansai Tambi when I got it. I got my set 7 or more years ago. So I feel like a redraw was both overdue and appropriate. I really, really like how this one turned out. I think the original was quite a bit more vibrant, but I like that this one is a little more reserved. Oh god, there will be a lot of turning in this one. This one is not quite a redraw, but I think the concept of this was meant for Inktober, and I was like, well, let's just see how it looks in watercolor, and I think it would look better in black and white, so I guess even if I don't love it, I have learned something from it, so that's always a positive. Then next up, this is also one I don't love. It's based on a reference image I saved quite a while ago. And I really, really love the reference, but this one just did not turn out how I wanted it. And I remember that even while painting it, I was already thinking that this is not what I want from it. But, that's also sometimes you just learn from painting that this was not something that you wanted. Ooh, these are fun. This was a phase. I think this was early 2022, late 2021 maybe. I was looking through my very first sketchbook and redrawing a bunch of stuff in it just to see how like my style and sensibilities had changed, how I would approach the same concepts now with my current knowledge and my current taste. And I think this was quite interesting to do. I really like how this one turned out. Not a color combination I would usually reach for, but I'm glad I stuck to it. This one is also based on an old drawing. I think the old one this is based on was made with Copic markers, and and as a result was quite vibrant. And this is a little bit more toned down because it's watercolor, and it also got some shiny embellishments at the end because I think they are neat. So this is the first. It's not the first because I've already talked about how I didn't like an earlier piece. These are also based on drawings in that very first sketchbook, even though these are very loosely based on them. And I don't quite like any of these very much. And I think that's fine. The sketchbook does end up having a lot of work in it that I don't love. But I think it's normal for that to happen with some of your sketchbooks. Sometimes you're just in an awkward phase or you're just not drawing or painting a lot, which happened with this one. I was not painting a lot, so almost every time I took it back out, I was kind of rusty. So that also influenced the quality of the artwork and how I felt about it. Yeah, these are studies from Pinterest, and as I've just said, I don't quite love these. They're okay, they're fine, whatever. I like these a bit more. These are portraits of my characters, Maria and Amaranthia. Always loved drawing them, and yeah, again, a little bit more satisfied with these in comparison to these, but still not work I would say I'm super proud of. Another page of swatches. This is a different palette. I have several because I have a lot of different paints, and I had noticed that I hadn't swatched this palette in its entirety anywhere since I made it, and I was curious to see how some of these would behave on cotton paper, especially these two. These are highly granulating colors. This one granulates as well, but not as much. But these are some of the Schminke super granulating colors, and I wanted to see how they react to different paper, and it's quite interesting. I think I like the effects on this one quite a bit more than this one, but yeah. That's all I've got to say about that. There were some more swatches here. I think these are from early 2023, I'm pretty sure. So this was an empty page that I went back to a lot later because I just wanted a space to swatch some out. These are some These are some more of the granulating colors from Schminke, and this is when I was tempted by a sale at a local retailer. They had on core watercolors. If you're not familiar, core watercolors are pretty expensive, and they are well known for being for flowing extremely well on paper, that they basically jump across the page if you've wet the paper beforehand. And I will say they do. they do that. They are very fast moving, and it's super interesting to work with. But also they're I don't know. They're very expensive. I only bought 4 tubes. I bought a dioxazine violet, a rose pink, a PV19. Anyway, green, gold, and an indigo, just because I like that combination and I like working with them. I have worked with them in a different sketchbook as well, but yeah, don't think I'm gonna get any more core colors anytime soon because again, they're like twice as expensive as other paints of similar quality that I have. This one I quite like. This one was from Draw This in Your Style from Instagram, a little witch. I had a blast while painting that. This was super fun, and I'm also super happy with how it turned out, and it is also shiny, which adds to how much I like it, I assume. All right, then let's see. Yeah, this was quite a bit later, I think, in the year. I was watching a lot of videos where people were making custom watercolor palettes, and I was thinking about what kind of palette I would put together for myself if, I had room for another one. So I tried out a lineup of colors. This is kind of loosely based on the art philosophy or Prima watercolor. I don't know what name they go by at the moment, but they have a lot of themed palettes with very interesting color stories. And this is based on their Essence palette, which I like quite a bit, but could not for the life of me justify buying. So I was like, could I imitate this with what I already have? And it's like, well, I can, kind of, parts of it, but definitely not something, not a palette I actually want or use a lot. I painted this with it, and I noticed some shortcomings while painting this. So this will have to go back to the drawing board, and I'll have to figure out how to adjust this to be more of something that works for my personal workflow. These are some studies from Pinterest. For this one especially, I focused a lot on light and, the shadow shapes. I kind of wish I had used more saturated colors for this one, but I still like this one quite a lot. Then here are some more swatches of colors I bought at some point. I think, yeah, I got an alizarin crimson and a neutral tint, and I wanted to see how they compared to other colors I already owned. Neutral tint is really interesting to me. I've been using a lot of ivory black just because it's a holdover. It was on my first palette, and I was like, well, I kind of like having a black, so I'll just keep using it. But ivory black is a very heavy kind of paint. It granulates a little bit, and it is very opaque. And I wanted something that's a little more transparent while being very dark. So very excited to have a neutral tint in my collection now. This one I really, really like. I think I also used a reference image from Pinterest for this, but I love the lighting, and I like how much time I spent on just rendering out the skirt. I remember that while I was painting this, and why I took so much time with it was because I was listening to an Agatha Christie audiobook while working on this. So that gave me the patience to wait for a layer to dry and then add another one and another one. This was really fun. This was just another study from Pinterest. I really like how this one turned out. It might not look like the original all that much, but you don't know that, so that's still a success. It still looks good, and people will just assume it's accurate, even if it's not. Yeah, just doodling some flowers without reference or really thinking about it much, which explains the quality. of this page. So let's just not think about it for too long. This one was another painting that was for Draw This in Your Style on Instagram. This was just a quick, cute thing to draw for me. Yeah, it was a fun thing. And then, yeah, this is another one of the spreads I don't really like. I painted this with just a bunch of leftover paint that I had on my palette that I didn't want to, wash off and just throw away. Don't really love it. This one I'm even sadder that I don't really like it. I was revisiting some old art. I was just looking through it, and I noticed that when I was just getting into watercolor, I used to do a lot of gradients where the shadows would be like blue and purple, and then it would go pink and then into yellow where it's lightest. And I do like this. But there's something off with the face here, so that's unfortunately ruining the whole thing for me. But otherwise, I do like it. I also like the stronger line work with a dark color. I used to do that quite a lot because I used to really love using a brush pen to add line work to my watercolor work. But yeah, no, this one is not it. This spread I do like quite a bit more. Again, my characters, Amaranthia and Maria. I wanted these two pages to, be companion pieces, go together, and of course, they're also a little shiny because that's nice, and I personally like it. Yeah, no, I really like this spread. It's very cute. Actually, I think this is the part of the sketchbook with like all my favorite spreads in one area. This was a limited palette painting. I used 3 colors, a very light blue, then a pyrrole red, and also I think my Payne's gray. I really, really like this. This turned out so well. It does have the whole like spooky Halloween vibes, even though I painted this, I think, in maybe July or August. I remember thinking that I was way too early for the spooky stuff. Same with this one. This is actually an ink painting. So I took out my India ink and painted with that. It was a really interesting experience because the ink behaves very differently from watercolor, even though it's like very similar as medium, you'd think. But yeah, I took this out because I got like the Inktober jitters. But again, it was like months before Inktober would start. So yeah, but it was fun to do. And yeah, this I think might be my favorite spread in the whole sketchbook. These are both limited palette paintings. This one with the dark granulating bluish green, you can see granulation kind of up here and down here. Or maybe you can't. I don't know how well this picks up on camera. And then it had also a lighter green, a yellow, and a red. I mostly included the red in this painting to mix a skin tone color, but looking back, I kind of regret that there aren't some intense red accents somewhere in the focal areas, just, to give it that pop, to have some more contrast in there. But yeah, this one is probably my favorite page out of the whole sketchbook. For this one, I used rose red, so PV19, a Parylene green, and also I think some sort of darker yellow. I think it might be one of the quinacridone colors from Daniel Smith, although I don't quite remember. It could be quinacridone burnt gold, I think. But yeah, I love how these colors work together because with the pink, the PV19, and the Parylene green, you can mix blacks and neutral grays, and together with the burnt gold and the PV19, you can mix like a nice skin tone, and it works together so well. I love this. This is just deeply satisfying for me to look at. I loved painting this. This is just another study I did off of Pinterest to get warmed up, I think, or just to, get something done that day. I think I was in the mood for painting and I just needed to paint something. So when I'm in one of those moods, I usually go up to Pinterest and just pick some portrait, do a quick sketch, and then do a quick painting over that. This one was, I think, more of a concept sketch. I was thinking about doing a bigger painting with a limited palette of Myrcene Amaranthia with, this is, I think, Opera, Inenthron Blue, and Yellow Ochre, but I ended up not really loving the color combination, so I didn't do it. Yeah. These two are also companion pieces to more of my characters. Yasmin, she is a magic user, which is why she has some magic there, and Quinn, who is a mercenary. She has a cool sword. She also has a eye patch, but you can't see it because it's on the other side. Yeah, as you can see, I also love combining purple and yellow. It's one of the color combinations that I really enjoy. There's just something about it that really speaks to me. These are some more. These two, I think, were also done with a limited palette. I think Opera again and Inenthron Blue again, but this time with raw umber for the darker browns. This one as well with the same palette, although this one I think has a lot less brown in it. You know what? Yeah, I hate this one and I don't want to talk about it. I just, it's sometimes in a sketchbook you just end up with a painting you just absolutely can't stand, and that's okay. Sometimes things go wrong. These are more studies off of Pinterest. I really like how these turned out. I think these were also fun to do, although I don't quite remember them that much. Then this is a painting of my character Amelia, who I love a lot. I don't know if you can tell, this also has some shiny accents on it, but again, while doing these, I have no idea if any of this will show up on camera. I hope it does, because it looks quite nice, but I can just hope for the best. Yeah, you can see it's going towards the end of the sketchbook. I never finished this up, a sketch of two more of my characters, again, yellow and purple. Crazy. And then this one. This one is fun because it's very orange, and it's also the point at which I was replacing the orange in my palette, as I mentioned in the beginning. This was the old orange I was using. It is kind of brighter, and it's also a bit more opaque than the new one I have, and I really didn't like that. I didn't want an opaque orange that was just not... It didn't make mixes that I liked, so off you go, orange. You did me one last service. These. Oh, this was also a fun time. This was when I got out my old Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolor set again. I've had that, again, I think I've mentioned it before, for like over 7 years at least, maybe even 10 years, I don't quite remember. I really liked where this was going, but I just didn't have the motivation to finish it, so it will forever remain just a work in progress. These were more studies off of Pinterest, and these were fun to do. I really like this one. It's very dramatic in the lighting aspect, which I like. That's nice. Oh, this page was also fun. I think I say this about every page that I just swatch colors. It's always... Swatching colors is fun because it always looks good and it's easy to do. So you never really struggle on those pages, which makes them very fun. But it's also fun because I love this set of colors. These are the Boku Undo watercolors. They're all this set is very dark. They're like, I don't remember if they're called like black palette, but it's like very dark. It was all over YouTube like some years ago, and I saw it back then and I was mesmerized. I wanted to try these colors out so badly, but I also knew that I didn't need another palette at the time, and I was like, well, maybe it's just the hype, you know. If you still want it in like a few months or years, maybe then you can get it. And the time has come. I was still super interested even years later, so I treated myself to this and I really enjoyed it. I painted my character Imogen with these colors. This was fun. It was interesting because most of the paints I work with are Western watercolors, which tend to be a lot more staining and they lift less easily. But these, you've got to be careful when applying these because they lift off pretty easily. This also is the case with the Gansai Tambi. So you just need to be a little more aware of like the properties of your paint and how you need to approach working with them. But yeah, no, I like them. Like the dark, desaturated, moody vibe. I love that. So yeah, this was a painting. This is just a random character. I did this painting with the custom palette I talked about earlier that I put together. That was like one of the Prima watercolor sets that I didn't end up liking that much, so I'm not really using it. But yeah, I tried to paint something with those colors in combination. And I do like this one, even though I still don't know how to feel about the palette in general. This one was also really fun. This is, I think I've had the concept sketch for this in a sketchbook for years, and I'm always like, oh yeah, I should get to that. And then I finally got to it. And I do like it. It is very cute. It is obviously not a particularly like super original idea. I feel like I have seen this like 500 times at least done before, but just like having the stars be little night lights and lamps and stuff is it's just a cute idea, you know. I like it. This page gets a pass from me. This one was, yeah, this one I also did with the Boku Undo paints. This was just another study off of Pinterest. It was really interesting to watch them work because you can see in the darker areas of here that the bluish dark color, the bluish black, I think it's called, granulates a little bit, which is super interesting. They don't give pigment information on the packaging for them, but I assume, given the granulation, that the dark blue might use, at least in part, PB 28, which is French ultramarine, which is the most common blue that granulates. But that's cool. I thought that was fun, and yeah. And now we get to the final page. This might look familiar because this is an attempt to redraw that thing from earlier. Wait, I can look for it. Oh yeah, there it is. To redraw this one to be more like what I hoped it would be. And I will say I am a lot more happy with this one than the old one. I am so much more satisfied with this one. It is still not quite what I would want, but it is also something I'm content with as it is compared to the other one. So yeah, this was a good way to end the sketchbook with one last hooray. Yeah, that is it. Some final thoughts about this. I mean, I had heard good things about Etchr before I got it, and I've got to say, it is a really good sketchbook. It's very, very good paper. I really enjoyed it. I originally wanted to get a cold pressed one, but they were sold out. So I know I'm not like on the best. I don't have the best relationship with hot press paper. I just find myself often preferring the cold press, and I am very curious to see how this compares to the cold press version. But yeah, I don't know if I get to compare that anytime soon because I really don't need another watercolor sketchbook at the moment. But if you like cotton paper and you like hot press paper, this is really, really good sketchbook. It is super solid. You can easily work on both sides of a page. It works really well. Yeah, that is it from me. As always, I would love to hear if you had a favorite spread and if you had a favorite painting and which one that would be. As I said, my favorite spread was the two limited color paintings, as my favorite is obviously the one with a lot of pink in it, because I am very predictable. But yeah, otherwise, thanks for sticking around till the end, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day.